I feel like looking at these end of the year Goodreads lists really humbles me. Should this be in the romance category? Probably not. Hi everyone, it's me. Welcome to today's video and welcome to Bookmas Day 1. I am so excited, you guys. This is the first year I am actually attempting or doing Bookmas for real, and I'm just so excited. This is truly like one of the best, coziest times of the year where everything feels so cozy, everything feels so festive and like warm, like all those warm fuzzy feelings. I feel like that really embodies what Bookmas is. So today's Bookmas video is going to be a little bit of a mashup of different things. So number one, we are going to prepare for some future Bookmas videos to come, and I will explain more of what that entails just in a little bit. And number two, we are going to go over the Goodreads top reads nomination list and just go over my thoughts on the books that have been nominated for that. So a little mix of things. We're gonna have some like holiday wrapping today. We're gonna have some TBR book selection today. But first of all, I do want to go over how our Bookmas schedule is going to work this year. So I will be doing the 12 days of Bookmas over 24 days. So a new video will be coming up every other day from now until December 24th. And each of those videos is going to be rotating between a reading vlog and a non-reading vlog. So 6 out of the 12 videos are going to be reading vlogs where I'm actually going to be blind picking a book to read for the day and reading an entire book in one day. And then alternating in between those reading vlogs, I'm going to be doing all sorts of sit-down videos. We might do a book shopping video together, fun things like that interspersed throughout those reading vlogs. So what we're going to be doing right now is we are going to be wrapping those blind books that I'm going to choose and read over the course of the next 6 reading vlogs. I thought this would be such a fun idea. I've never done anything like this before, but I've always wanted to, and I just thought this would be the perfect time to try it out because we could create this whole kind of advent calendar blind book reading experience, and I think that just sounds super, super fun. So I am going to be wrapping a selection of books. First of all, the 5 books on my December TBR obviously need to be included. I picked these in my last video on my channel, so I'm not going to go over these too much in detail, but just for a quick recap, we have Great and Precious Things by Yarros. This is a sad military romance. Assistant to the Villain by Nicole Maehrer, which is a comedic romantasy where our protagonist falls in love with her hot villain boss, and apparently this book gives Shrek vibes. The Everlasting by Alix Harrow, a story about a lady knight and a historian that falls in love with her, but somehow finds himself going back in time and having to relive her experience and trying to rewrite her history or find out what really happened. So this is a standalone fantasy. House of the Beast by Wong. This is a story about a woman from an aristocratic family that wants to take her own family down, I'm pretty sure, and she enlists the help of this demon god. And Broken Country by Clare Hall, a love story but with a thriller style storytelling where we dive into the past of these characters and find out all of these secrets from the past. So yeah, we have these 5 books from the TBR, so these will definitely be part of the 6 books we will be blind book reading this next month. So we obviously need to pick a 6th book, and I also want to pick an extra book because that way if I have more than 6 books wrapped, then on the last day when I'm picking a blind book to read, it's not like I'll already know what's left, you know? There will still be an option and a little bit of mystery on the last day. So I think I want to pick 2 more books to wrap up. The first one that I think is just screaming to me right now is The Wishing Game by Meg Shaffer. I've been staring at this book on my TBR cart for so long, but I feel like this is a book for book lovers, and I feel like this vibe just gives really cozy reading vibes, and that just fits for the month of December. We follow Lucy, who is an assistant teacher, and I think she enters a contest hosted by one of her favorite authors, and it's hosted at his house that is on an island called Clock Island. And so there are 4 contestants total, Lucy included, that are chosen to compete to win the one and only copy of his new book. I feel like this book sounds kind of caraval-y, so I definitely want to include that. And then another book that I want to wrap up is another kind of book-themed cozy vibe. So welcome to the Hyunam-Dong Bookshop by Wong Room. I honestly don't really know what the plot of this book is. All I know is that it's set at a bookshop in a quaint neighborhood, and I think our protagonist is someone who has felt burnt out, and so she's really trying to make this new, more peaceful life for herself. And it just sounds like such a cozy read where we get to know a couple of different characters that come into the bookshop, and it just sounds very cozy. This cover is kind of screaming spring right now, if I'm gonna be completely honest, but I do know this is a rebranded book, and I'm pretty sure the original cover gave a little bit more winter. It was like nighttime. I don't actually know if it was winter, but it was night, and I don't know, it felt cold from my first impressions of it. But yeah, I feel like this would be a good one to throw into the mix as well. So over the course of the next 6 reading vlogs, where we read a book a day, these are going to be the options to choose from. But okay, we need to wrap these up. So I have wrapping paper. I have bookish stickers. I actually got these from Book of the Month last year and never ended up using them for anything. So I thought no time like the present. We have scissors and we have tape. So let's get to work. Okay, I guess we'll just go top to bottom. So we'll start with welcome to the Hyunam-Dong bookshop. I've actually found a cute way to wrap books on TikTok and I'm gonna try it out and hopefully it works. Oh, wait! Are these stickers too? This little set of wrapping paper came with stickers as well. I think these are stickers. We also have some ribbon to work with. We have this, is this just like really thin tape or something? Like, look how thin that is. I've never seen tape that thin before, but maybe it's like, it looks better in wrapping, I don't know. But I also just have like regular tape to use as well. And then I have a couple of different options of wrapping paper. How many sheets do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hopefully these are quite big. Yeah, I think these will do. Okay, so I think we can cut these in half because this wrapping technique, I think you have to measure at least that much, like you have to roll around the book. And I think height-wise, that's enough as well for a book. So let's cut the sheet in half. I'm kind of nervous. I've never tried to wrap a book this way before, but we'll see what happens. I'm also not the most crafty person in the world, so if I can manage to pull this off, you can too. Okay, we have our first square ready. So I think we set the book in the middle, leave enough to cover the bottom, and then we fold this way on the top. Take the corner, bring it in. Oh gosh, what is going on? Oh no. Oh gosh, disaster. Okay, like this? I think. Then I fold this first piece over, this side in. Why is this folding weird? Is it because there's already a fold in the paper? Ooh. Okay, bring this in, and then I fold the big second flaps, and then, ooh, I think it's working. Ooh, it worked. And then I can put a sticker here. Which one should I pick? What do you think? I feel like these aren't really holiday themed though, so maybe I'll actually go with the Book of the Month ones. We could do this Merry Fictions red sticker. Merry Fictions. And then we just fold the bottom like a normal gift. And then tape this bottom here. Oh my gosh, how cute. Honestly, not the most precise job on my part, but it's my first time trying this technique. Should I do a ribbon on it? Where would I even put the ribbon? The ribbon looks so cute, but I don't think I have enough ribbon to ribbon all of them. And I feel like that wouldn't be fair, so maybe we'll just leave the ribbon this time around. Okay, but there we go. That's the first one. I'm gonna continue to wrap these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 more books. But as we continue to wrap, let's go over the Goodreads top reads list. So you're not just watching me like sit here and wrap gifts in silence, not even gifts, wrap books in silence. Okay. I have actually taken screenshots and put them on my iPad so we can look at these Goodreads top reads lists. I'll just put this right there. Okay, we have the fiction category first. This is like literary fiction, general fiction. I feel like looking at these end of the year Goodreads lists really humbles me, because throughout the year I'm always like, yeah, I've read so many books this year. I think I'm going to be near 150 again this year, which is similar to the amount of books I read last year. But then when I look at these Goodreads lists, I'm like, how have I not read any of these? Like, out of this fiction list, how many are there? There are 4 across. So there are 20 books nominated on the long list for the fiction category, and out of these 20, I have read 3. I have read 3 out of 20 of the top fiction books of the year, and one of them is on my TBR. So Wild Dark Shore is on my TBR. It's right here. I guess I could have chosen it for my books that I'm wrapping up. I don't know, I feel like it seems like a bit of a sad book to be reading around the holidays. I have heard very good things, I just haven't gotten to it. But the 3 that I've read out of this list includes My Friends by Frederick Bachman, of course, The Names by Florence Knapp, and The Academy by Ellen Hilderbrand and Shelby Cunningham. I thoroughly enjoyed all 3 of those reads. My Friends obviously is my favorite out of the bunch, just because I am obsessed with Frederick Bachman and anything that he writes. And then outside of that, honestly, I haven't heard of a lot of these. Actually, Cursed Daughters, I have heard a lot about. I think that was a recent release and I saw it on Book of the Month, but I didn't choose it. And now I'm kind of regretting it, because I looked on Book of the Month and I think Cursed Daughters is now already sold out, which is like, I don't know how often that happens with Book of the Month. I feel like I don't see an actual sold out book too often, especially for the books that have just been released. And oh, I've heard of The 3 Lives of Cat K by Kate Fagan. Honestly, don't know too much about it in terms of how much people enjoyed it or not, but I have seen that cover around. It does look very familiar to me. But yeah, that's fiction, I guess. My Friends was definitely my favorite out of the bunch. And then over to historical fiction, yeah, I've read 2 out of the 20 in historical fiction, and 1 is on my TBR, and that 1 is actually Broken Country, which I will be reading this next month. But out of the 2 I've actually read, that is Homeseeking by Carissa Chen and Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I really enjoyed Homeseeking. It was a subtle story, but a very beautiful one, and I thoroughly enjoyed that read. But for me, the winner of this category has to be Atmosphere. Taylor Jenkins Reid is obviously one of my favorite authors, and Atmosphere really hit me hard in the feels. I think everyone online has watched me cry and sob reading the end of that book, so that is definitely a winner for historical fiction. I have heard good things about The Bright Years by Sarah Damoff? Oh, and Amalfi Curse too. I think that one, is that a bit of a magical realism twist on historical fiction? I think the Amalfi Curse is a little bit witchy, which I think is always fun. Witchy plus historical fiction, I feel always makes a good combo. So that is Amalfi Curse by Sarah Penner. But yeah, Atmosphere was my winner for that one. Over to mystery and thriller. I have only read 1 from this list, which honestly, this one doesn't surprise me, because you guys know, I've been in a bit of a thriller slump this past year. I haven't really read too many thrillers, and the only 2 that I've read are The Thrashers by Julie Soto, just because I like Julie Soto as an author, and also Not Quite Dead Yet by Holly Jackson, because I also have had experience with Holly Jackson and have had fun reading her thrillers. And that's the only one on this thriller top list that I've read. So I voted for Not Quite Dead Yet, because it's the only valid one that I could have voted for. The Richard Osman one looks interesting though. That cover, what is it called? The Impossible Fortune. I feel like that cover looks really fun. I've also heard good things about the S.A. Cosby book, King of Ashes. Don't know what it's about, but I did see that one on Book of the Month, and I think I've seen some other people read it as well and have enjoyed it. And I think Ghostwriter by Julie Clark looks familiar, as well as Beautiful Ugly by Alice Feeney, but I don't know too much about them. So Not Quite Dead Yet was my winner. In romance, I think I've read a couple more of these. So I've actually read 6 out of the 20 in this one, which, I'm feeling proud of myself for that. And 1 is on my TBR. That is One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune, which I completely missed the whole season to read that book. I remember it was on my anticipated reads list of this year, and I just never ended up getting to it. Also, second one's done. Out of the 6 that I've read, I read First Time Caller by B.K. Borison. I read The Favorites by Lane Fargo, which, should this be in the romance category? Probably not. Like, as I was reading it, I was like, this is not a romance, and you should not read this as a romance. It was definitely more of just a very dramatic, toxic fiction over a romance. So I'm a little iffy on putting that one in the romance category. But I also read Deep End by Ellie Hazelwood, which was not the best read for me. I read Wild Side by Elsie Silver, Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez, and Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. I voted for Great Big Beautiful Life because out of this grouping of books, I think I actually enjoyed the favorites the most. That was my highest rating. But in terms of a romance award, I feel like the favorites should not get the romance award. I don't think it fits in this category at all, where GBBL fits the actual category much better. Okay, I got this tape from Dollarama and it's not sticking very well. I think First Time Caller by BK Borson had such potential. Whoa, what is this? Is this a misprint? There's like pattern missing there. I don't know. These books are being wrapped for myself, so I think that's fine. In romantasy, ooh, I've read 11. I've read 11 out of the 20 romantasies, which is funny because I feel like this was the year where I kind of fell out of love with romantasies, but I do think there are some fantasy romances in this category versus just true romantasies. So yeah, I've read 11. One is on my TBR. The one on my TBR is Shield of Sparrows. Not on my physical TBR, but just on my mental TBR. Mate is in this category by Ellie Hazelwood, which like I would never call Bride or Mate a romantasy. Those are most definitely paranormal romances. But anyways, I also have heard a lot of the discussion on whether Alchemized belongs in romantasy. I think that one is such a thin line because what is the definition of romantasy? It is a story where the fantasy and romantasy have equal significance in the plot. And if we're talking about something like Alchemized, I do think the romance obviously was a very significant part of the plot. Was it the whole plot? No. Was it the entire point of the story? No, definitely not. But I do think without that romantic plot, Alchemized would be a complete different story. There are a lot of romantic elements in Alchemized, but it's also not your typical romantasy. There are definitely heavier themes, lots of topics about war, of course, that are being covered. It could just be a personal thing too. I feel like if you tend to read more fantasies and not too many high fantasies, Alchemized could feel like more of a high fantasy. But if you are one who reads a lot of high fantasy, you could see Alchemized leaning more towards romantasy. So very, very fuzzy line there. But definitely let me know in the comments actually, because I'm very curious. Do you think Alchemized is a romantasy or a fantasy? Because I definitely see it as a very much a borderline book where it could go either way depending on who's judging, who you're talking to, like what your reading experience has been like in the past. Maybe we need a category that is like dark romantasy, but not dark romance, like dark fantasy romantasy. And that's where Alchemized would sit. But anyways, outside of Alchemized, I also read Silver Elite, Onyx Storm, Night in the Moth, Wild Reverence, The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy, Enchantra, Direbound, Compendium of Lost Tales, and Rose in Chains. This was definitely a tight competition for me because I obviously really loved Night in the Moth. I also really loved Onyx Storm, and I actually had so much fun with Enchantra, like so much fun, but the winner for me has to be Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross. Such a beautiful, beautiful story. Definitely one that borders on like, is this a romantasy or is this a fantasy romance? Same with Night in the Moth. I feel like that reads more like a gothic fantasy with a subplot of romance, but certain books like Enchantra or Direbound or like Rose in Chains, I feel like read as true romantasies where there's no debate on what it is. Definitely an interesting category because I think romantasy has just kind of, we've very recently, only in the past few years, coined the term romantasy. So there's definitely, yeah, a very blurry gray line in there. Over to fantasy. How many of these have I read? There's gotta be a whole bunch. So I've read 9 in this category and 1 is on my TBR. So The Everlasting by Alix E. Harrow is actually on this list. So I'm gonna read it this next month, but out of the ones I've read, there's Red City, The Raven Scholar, Hemlock and Silver, The Sirens, Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil, Catabasis, The Strength of the Few, Alchemy of Secrets, and Watermoon. Another tough one for me because obviously I loved The Raven Scholar. I also loved Bury Our Bones, but I read it last year. That's the thing, I read it last year. Really enjoyed Catabasis, just read Strength of the Few very recently, loved that. So kind of wild that it was nominated for this category when it just came out, but I guess it does count because it was released this year. I could have gone in many different directions for this one in terms of what I voted for, but I decided to go with Red City by Marie Lu. A recent read for me, but one that hit me so hard that I'm still thinking about it, and so I think it deserves to be on this list. Bury Our Bones could have been up there as well, but I read it last year because I got the arc of it, and so I feel like it's just not as fresh in my mind anymore. But I also probably could have voted for Bury Our Bones, depending on what day you asked me, if I'm gonna be completely honest. And also Strength of the Few and Raven Scholar. Like, I feel like whatever day you ask me, my answer for best fantasy book would change because like you can't make me choose. That's impossible. But I think I also decided to vote for Red City because I feel like it's a bit of an underdog book. I know Marie Lu does have lots of fans and I have only recently discovered her books. I've been missing out all these years, but I feel like in terms of all these other books, I've heard a lot more people talk about the rest of them versus Red City. So I just wanted to give some hype to a more underdog feeling book, I guess. Over to sci-fi. I have only recently gotten into sci-fi this past year, so I think the only one I've read that came out this year is The Compound by Ashlyn Rawl, because all the other sci-fis I read this year were older ones, like from previous years. So yeah, my only option here was The Compound to vote for, and I did actually enjoy that one. I'm surprised it's in the sci-fi category because it doesn't read like so sci-fi. It's more dystopian social commentary, but I guess there are technology things in it, like the house that our contestants live in for the reality show in this book definitely has like some technology. There are like TVs that you can interact with and they give you tasks to do. So yeah, I guess there are some sci-fi elements in that way. But yeah, I was surprised to see it in this category, but that's the only one I read, so easy option for me. Horror, I really have nothing to say because I haven't read any of these, so we're gonna skip over that. Although I've heard some really good things about the Bunny series by Mona Awad. So that's Bunny, and then now the sequel, We Love You Bunny. And I've also heard really good things about Bat Eater and Other Names for Cora Zhang by Kylie Lee Baker. So if you guys have read those ones, let me know how you liked those, because I don't read too much horror. I think the horror I read tends to just be more gothic fantasy horror, but I'm definitely curious to get into horror as a genre. Debut novel is fun. So The Names is on here that I read, Homeseeking, Alchemized, and Finding Grace is actually right here on my TBR. I voted for The Names. Maybe I should have voted for Homeseeking because I liked that one as well. And I think it deserves some love. But yeah, I voted for The Names. I think it was just such a creative idea, especially for a debut novel. I actually really enjoyed how Florence Knapp left a lot to your own interpretation. Like there wasn't a lot that was spoon-fed to you. So that's what I voted for. We're gonna skip over audiobooks because I've started to get into audiobooks more for rereads this past year, but I feel like I'm not knowledgeable enough in audiobooks to make a good decision on that. Next category though is YA, fantasy, and sci-fi. I've read 6 of these and one is on my TBR, Never Ever After by Sue Lynn Tan. And I've read Breath of the Dragon, Rebel Witch, Our Infinite Fates, Immortal Consequences, Hazelthorn, and Sunrise on the Reaping. And like, it's gotta be Sunrise on the Reaping. A little bit tempted to vote for Hazelthorn. Again, I just think for that underdog moment, it's like, I feel like I know Sunrise on the Reaping is going to win, so why not give Hazelthorn a little support, an extra vote? You know what I mean? But I did end up voting for Sunrise on the Reaping because again, like that is just a god tier book to me. And just unbeatable out of this category. So easy win on that one. YA fiction, this was a funny one for me because out of these 20, I read 3. So I read The Thrashers by Julie Soto, which I talked about earlier. It's a thriller. I Am Not Jessica Chen by Anne Liang. And then I also read Fake Skating by Lynn Painter. 3 very different books. I actually, in a twist of events, voted for the sports romance. I voted for the hockey romance. Who would have thought that by the end of 2025, I would vote for a hockey romance in the Goodreads Choice Awards? I think out of these, like, I don't know, Fake Skating was really cute to me. And I think it wasn't my favorite read of all time, but Lynn Painter did a very good job at crafting the high school experience, the anxieties that come along with it. And there were some honestly very, very cute moments in that book. So I did vote for Fake Skating. And we love when books surprise us like that. Okay, we have the nonfiction, memoir, and historical biography sections left, which I don't know too much about. I honestly don't think I've read any in these categories because I generally don't read that much nonfiction. I read 2 memoirs this year, I'm pretty sure. 1 or 2 memoirs, but I don't think the ones that I read are on this list. I have, oh my gosh, I've only wrapped 3 of these books I need to finish up. So I'm going to do that real quick. I think it'll go faster if I'm not like looking and talking and trying to multitask. But yeah, I'm gonna finish wrapping up these books and I'll get back to you when I'm done. I have all 7 wrapped now. Oh my gosh. They're so cute. I love them. Honestly, not the best wrapping job. This work was a little bit rough on my part, but I think overall they look so cute. And yes, they are wrapped in different wrapping papers. I repeated a few of them because I had, I think, 5 different styles for 7 different books, but I honestly already forget which ones I put with which pattern. Like I wasn't really thinking of matching patterns to books, so I already forget what book is what. This is gonna be a true mystery for me when it comes time for me to unwrap these ones. Also, as I mentioned, yeah, like the tape that I've been using, I got from Dollarama the other day, and like that was my biggest mistake because I was warned, Huffy warned me that this tape wasn't gonna work very well, but I was in a rush and I needed tape and Dollarama was close by and cheap. So I bought Dollarama tape, but it's already all like on the bottom. It's already coming off, but we're not gonna look at that. Like look at this one. Why is it already undone at the bottom? Do you see that? It's already like unwrapping itself, but it's just the bottom of them. So I think if I set them down right way up, like it'll be fine. They'll hold. Just to show you all of them, we have this mystery book. This is number 2, number 3, which has already begun to unwrap itself. Book number 4, book number 5, book number 6, and book number 7. So yeah, over the next 6 reading vlogs that will be alternating Bookmas videos, I will be reading 6 out of these 7 books as a blind book pick. Last stage of prep though is I do want to put them on my TBR cart on the top shelf, but I also want to flip all the other books like to have edge facing out versus spine facing out, just to make it look more aesthetically Christmas. You know, I also attached these little pine cones to my cart the other day, which I think are cute. You know what? I could actually just rotate my cart the other way around so the back faces front, you know, because they're already all facing that way. Oh no, but I've already attached my pine cones this way. So we'll just flip them. We also need to make space. Let's start with the bottom because these are the hardest to take out. Look how cute and Christmassy my TBR cart looks right now. These are going to be some very fun surprise blind book reading vlogs coming up, and we are now all prepared. That being said, I guess this is going to be the end of our first Bookmas video. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, please leave me a like and a comment. If you don't know what to comment down below, let me know which blind book you think I am going to choose for reading vlog 1. If you like me, subscribe, do that bell thing, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!